less than 24 hours, undercut the tracks and the trestles. I see pictures where the track's in midair. There's no way you can put a train across that. And so it made us, we are landlocked. We're the only operating locomotive system on this side. So freight can't come through here. That's why from 1911 to 2007, freight reigns supreme. Freight is what pays for the tracks, helps keep things going, all the supplies and stuff that need to go along. After 2007, we're the only operating system going on. Now, Oregon Coast Scenic Railroad started in 2003, and from 2003 to 2007, Scott Wicker started this up, and he operated on the weekends, this tourist train, and he would make way for the freight trains to come through. They always have a right-of-way. And it made it a little bit interesting at times trying to keep a schedule, but you can work around that. After 2007, we operate 7 days a week from Memorial Day through the end of September, and then we do these activities on the weekends in October and the first 2 weekends in November. And we'll do Candy Cane Express. Candy Cane Express takes place after Thanksgiving, before Christmas. It comes out of Garibaldi, almost up to Rockaway, not quite. And then back, we'll have Santa on board. We'll have hot chocolate and cookies. Kind of a nice experience to get you set for the Christmas season. So the train itself, the car that's open back there used to be an old flatbed car built in 1937. This is an old flatbed built in 1938. And we got them and we fixed them up to where you see the seating, that you got the walls and stuff around the seats and stuff in place. The cars behind me, they're RDC cars, rail diesel cars. They can operate by their lonesome. I don't know how long it's been since that's taken place, at least 20 years. But at each end they have a system where you can use the motor, you can steer it, get it where it's steering on the track. So you can go up where you need to go, you can stop, you have horns and everything. If you want to go the other way, you can go to the other end and operate it from that end there. Right now we use them as our dining cars, and our dining did not take place this year. Hopefully this next year we'll have our dining cars up and running. And then the caboose, built in 66 and refurbished in 1980, used to be in the Rock Island lines that are there. So that's kind of our rolling stock that we have going along. Last week we had about 3 or 4 deer out there in this meadow coming up. We're kind of eyeballing. I doubt they're going to be out there. You never can tell though, because the deer like to come down to the meadows. We have elk that like to come down where the cows hang out too, to the detriment of the farmers. They don't like to have to share their farm fields with the elk and the deer when they have their cows out there grazing. But no, I don't see the deer out there right now. So the Nehalem River, obviously salmon, but there's trout. And this part of the river is actually impacted by the tides. That was one of the weirdest things to me when I first moved to the coast, was the tides. High tide impacts the river, low tide impacts the river. If you're watching high tide, it's pushing the river back upstream, and you're going, well, it looks like it's going upstream. The river's not going backwards, it does when the tide comes in. So definitely it is impacted by the tides as they're going along. So that 831 sign that's laying down back there got wiped out. Those signs are long, those are mile markers. So if you were hit by train, that tells you it's 831 miles from there to one San Francisco station, because what you'd have to do is take the train up through the mountains, go over to the Portland area, go down through the Willamette Valley, up to the Siskiyous, down to California, down past San Jose, through San Jose, back up to San Francisco. Whereas if you hopped in a car, it'd be a whole lot quicker than 831 miles. But those little mileage markers tell you how far away you are from San Francisco. They got some nice cows over there, little Jerseys. Now Jersey cows like that, they're smaller, they don't get nearly as much milk as the black and white or the Holstein cows, but they give a high fat content, which helps to create that butter and cheese that we're so familiar with. So a lot of farmers We'll have Holsteins, and they'll have jerseys, or in this case, looks like he's got a whole jersey out there in the field. We'll see a bunch of them too. They are high-fat content. Then they'll combine it with the Holstein herd and supply the milk that they need to create that butter and cheese and milk that we're so familiar with here in Tillamook. There's Moeller Marketplace over there. This is another one of those logging communities that was built up along the way. It was originally called Malm and then changed to Moeller by the guy who operated this train. This building here is the Nehalem Bay Winery. Started in 1974. That was the first winery on the Oregon coast, and it's the first 10 wineries in the whole state of Oregon. They started out making blackberry wine. After a while, that took off quite well, and so they imported fruit from over in the Willamette Valley. They have a wide variety of wines available for sampling and for sale. Before that became a winery, it was the cheese factory up here in this area. The dairy farmers, when they first started out, didn't have the refrigerated trucks that could travel great distances and get the milk dropped off without spoiling. So they would put them in those 5-gallon bell buckets, and they would put them in the back of wagons or the back of old pickup trucks, and they would take them to the closest cheese factory, and that happened to be the case there. And they would drop them off, and then that's where they would create their cheeses or butter or whatever they needed to do. That closed down in 1954. By then, all the roads were in place that were decent that you could travel. Didn't have to worry about getting caught in the mud or whatever. And the refrigeration trucks were big enough to carry that milk from each individual dairy. So that started up the Tillamook County Creamery Association, which is a farmer co-op that's centrally located in Tillamook. But up until that point, you had places like that down in Beaver, down in Tebow, South County in Tillamook, down in what they call Pleasant Valley. Everybody had independent creamery close by that they would bring their milk, and then they consolidated when they were able to and created the Tillamook County Creamery Association. So this is where we're clear today, be able to kind of show you Onion Peak and stuff. And Onion Peak's underneath that mountain, that's underneath that cloud cover that's there. But this mountain that's over here that kind of dips on down, slopes on down, that's called Miakani Mountain. Now this was, there's Onion Peak, it kind of goes up in the middle, there's still cloud cover, but it's all basalt. It kind of sticks up. The early pioneers, hey, what do you want to call it? Well, I don't know. Look like a giant onion, we'll call it Onion Peak. So that's how I got its name. But a lot of these, this was basalt. They had big lava flows back many, many years ago, and that created like Cape Lookout, Cape Mears, Miakani Mountain. And Miakani Mountain drops down into the Pacific there, and there's a lot of history that goes along with Miakani Mountain. One of them being back in, see how good you guys' history is. How many guys remember Sir Francis Drake? Sir Francis Drake, right? He was Queen Elizabeth's #1 admiral. And he was notorious for robbing Spanish galleons. And the Spaniards were going, we're going to get him. So they were kind of laying in wait for him. And so what he did was he decided to go around the bottom of South America and come up to South America on the west side and then up to North America. And back in the 1580s, they say he put in here at Nehalem